Next team, this is a really easy team because they didn't do much. The New Orleans Pelicans, their notable moves include drafting Dyson Daniels at number 8. They drafted EJ Liddell at number 41. He did tear his ACL, though. Then they signed Zion Williamson to a 5-year designated rookie extension, $192.9 million. It can be as much as $231 million if he makes an All-NBA team. There are protections on a year-to-year basis. I have yet to see, hear, read about what the specific like dollar amount protections are, but there apparently is a clause in his contract that his weight and body fat percentage must total under 295. I don't know how often that's going to be checked. I don't know if there's an injury forgiveness there to where is it realistic to expect him to keep his weight and body fat percentage down if he's injured and can't work out at full bore. But that is they signed Zion Williamson, and he is there's no player option in that either, by the way. So that's huge for them. And then their only notable exit, and I'll put exit in air quotes, is that Tony Snell remains unsigned at the moment. So Grant, what did you give the Pelicans?
So if I could give an incomplete, I would, just because I want to know everything about the language in Zion's contract. I'm giving him a B. And if someone gave him a flat A, because like, hey, the biggest question mark hanging over this franchise, which was, is Zion going to stay? Even though we've seen players ask out with years left on their contracts, that's a thing. You've got him under contract. So that's big. Like, you've eliminated the big uncertainty, the big like speculation, the point of speculation that has been hanging around for like 2 years now. That's big. I don't have a strong opinion on Dyson Daniels yet. I think he's someone who, because EJ Liddell's hurt, but Daniels is someone who I think could swing the grade like a full letter, depending on what you think about him. I like the idea of him. I just, maybe he'll be the latest to get his shot fixed up, and then suddenly he's like a versatile defender who has great court sense and can move the ball, and he's a wing, and that's super valuable. Don't know yet. We'll see. I guess I'd say if Williamson meets that 295 weight plus body fat percentage, like if he, because that's like, I mean, I don't know what he was walking around at for even in his healthy year, but it can't have been much less than like 285. I don't think. He's going to be pretty, like, he's going to be a monster if he meets that criteria, which feels like a tough bar to meet for him. Not knowing exactly what he weighed, but just kind of eyeballing it. I think the upside's massive. This could just be an A if Zion is fully healthy and meets all the criteria and is great, because B would look ridiculous because they lock down a guy who suddenly is like maybe a top 10 player, as soon as next year. I don't know. But I just don't know enough to go any higher than a B right now.
Yeah, you're a Debbie Downer here, man. I went A-, so not terribly higher than yours. I think I'll start with the only thing that you could really quibble over, and I think I'm in the minority with this. I would have been more proactive in diversifying the front court around Zion already. I don't want to see Jackson Hayes, Jonas Valanciunas get a ton of minutes, and I don't think that they're going to trust the Larry Nance Jr., Zion Williamson lineups up front enough. And I definitely don't think they're going to trust like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Zion front line with maybe Ingram and McCollum go point guardless. I want to see them. I don't know how much of a staple they're going to be. I would have been more proactive addressing that. At the same time, they didn't use their mid-level. I don't know who they were going to spend it on when you look at how deep this roster is right now. And even knowing like, hey, they're going to get Kyra Lewis back. And I think Dyson Daniels should actually play. I'm in love with that pick, by the way. Everything you mentioned, plus I'm going to cake in his potential getting to work with Fred Vincent, where it's like, if you have Fred Vincent and Chip Engelland, like as your shooting coaches, one of those two, they could be a shot doctor. And so I think that he has the potential to hit more of his jumpers than he did while he was at school. And I liked the fact that they have Zion under team control for 5 years. And even if it's loosely protected, sort of like the Joel Embiid contract, where his career would have essentially needed to end for the Pelicans to be washed of his money, like that doesn't really actually matter, because even if you like, what changes if you take Zion Williamson off this team because of injuries? They suck. So you're not going to need the money anyway. And so if the fact that you just have him under team control for that long, we know what he is at his peak as a sophomore. That was an all-NBA player. Like that was just the way he was playing. He was an all-NBA player. So I think that's a home run for them. Like I said, and I think Dyson Daniels was the right pick. I was very intrigued by EJ Liddell, and I thought that, is this like another sort of just value they found? This is a team for me that I've said it, and I don't think I'm getting ready to say some pretty recklessly optimistic things about the Pelicans. I think I've said them already, so I might just be a lot higher on them. It was just an A- for me, and I would have been more aggressive in I'm not saying they needed to go out and get Miles Turner, but was there a way to just make different moves? And like, even if it was a Chris Boucher instead of having Jackson Hayes on this roster, I'm not saying that exact player, that scale of a move, I think is going to better serve them, to me, long term than trying to get Zion to work with either Jackson Hayes or Jonas Valanciunas. And yes, Pelicans fans, I know that Jonas Valanciunas takes threes. I'm very much aware that that is a thing.
Yeah, you can't bring up. I wish they just had a little more stretch without that. With no. The greatest up faker in the world currently does take what 2-3 a game, something like that. I don't know. I think my favorite offseason trade that I used a million times, which in hindsight now seems ridiculous, was like Jackson Hayes and Devontae Graham and 8 to the Pistons for Jeremy Grant, which would have blown away the offer that Pistons got for Grant ultimately, because I just like the idea of Jeremy Grant in the closing 5 on this team. That sort of moves the logjam or clears the logjam by getting rid of Hayes. But that turned out that would have been a significant overpay, giving up 8. Back just on Zion real quick, because I do feel like an asshole for just looking at the downside of this. I think I am anchored to the idea of, I remember seeing him at Duke, like before, I think he'd already had one knee injury, and then athletically thinking like, this guy is the greatest athlete like we've ever seen. This is like Lawrence Taylor. This is just like, he's a different level. And then even before, then he missed a chunk of his rookie year, and coming back, it just never was there. And I just decided then that, like, with the weight issues and the conditioning issues and the injuries piling up, we've already seen like the best of this guy. Now that looked real bad when he was putting up 27 on 61% shooting, but then he got hurt again. And so I'm still anchored. I'm just, the pessimistic side of this to me is like, there is a legit world where 2 years from now, the worst happens and we're thinking like, can you fucking believe they gave a 5-year deal to this guy? And now the protections could change that, but we just don't really know what the dollar amounts are. There's just a scenario where I can imagine us talking like, man, that was really one of the worst max contracts given out, considering all of the time he's missed and the unique weight issues for a player this athletic too. It's like, it's just, there's a lot of uncertainty.
What makes this so different from the Joel Embiid stuff then, though?
Not a lot. Like, that's the thing. That's the upside. But like you said, like, there was a way that the Sixers were just going to get out from under like all of that. If I knew that about this deal, then great. Like, then I would feel much better.
I would imagine it has to be the same, but you're basically only getting out from under if his career is over. And my point was, though, is does it matter how much money you're paying him if whether you're saving that? Yes, financially, sure. Like, yeah. I get it. But if you have Zion Williamson as a max number that's not contributing or is less than a max player, if you just removed him from the books and then removed his money, you're in the same spot functionally.
See, I feel differently, because I think what the Pelicans started to do last year suggests that, like, bring that team back. It say Zion doesn't play. I'm still looking at them as like, they might be a top 16. Like, I'd give them nearly as good a shot as Memphis to like be in the mix for one of the, 5, 6, 7, 8 range of a playoff.
Are they trying to be the Kings though? Like,
well, no, that's not the angle. First of all, that's the Kings are trying to finish. Well, by the way, if the Kings can't get in the play-in this year, because there's like 4 other teams in the West that are not going to try, and I have them as one of them. But we'll get to that later. No, I think Zion is the piece that you added to the roster they had last year, and it's like, well, shit, like, this team is a threat to anybody. Like, they could really, their ceiling is super high. So I think I think that makes it more dangerous, because you're taking that ceiling down. They're still pretty good, and you're like just regretting. I don't know. I'm talking myself way too far down on the Zion deal. It's a small market team that locked up a number 1 pick that wasn't a lock to want to stay. So I should shut up and just
look. The other thing is, just my whole point is that, yes, presumably if everything goes disastrous with Zion and you're still paying him, you're tearing it down whether you're paying him or not, because of everything you just said, that your ceiling is. What is without Zion Williamson being 2020, 2021 Zion Williamson, what is your pathway to title contention? It's stripping it down and starting over.
Right. Yeah. You don't have it unless, like, there is no unless. You don't have it. You don't have it. Ingram's not the guy, even if he gets.
I'm gonna put you for an A++++.
You have to leave me as a B. I can't get away from my Zion fears.